Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 195, Ben-Hur, which is an adventure drama history film from 1959. This has an 8.1 on 203,567 votes. And before we get started, we're going to start a new thing where we're going to read off a quote from a mystery movie, and you guys tell us what you think that movie is, and we'll reveal it, and anyone that gets it right in the next episode. So, Jess, I've got 6 colors here in front of me. I'll tell you what they are, and then you just pick a color, and I'll read the quote that's on that color.
Okay.
So I've got green, light blue, orange, purple, dark blue, and red.
Orange.
Okay, so the orange one, there are simply too many notes. What movie is that line from? We will reveal it next week. You guys just contact us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we will post the line on social media as well, so you can just tell us on that post. So, without further ado, the spoiler-free synopsis for Ben-Hur: epic drama about an aristocratic Jew living in Judaea who incurs the wrath of a childhood friend, now a Roman tribune. Although forced into slavery on a galley and compelled to witness the cruel persecution of his family, he survives, harboring dreams of vengeance. A battle at sea and a chariot race are among the memorable sequences. Won a record 11 Oscars.
So, this is directed by William Wyler. We saw him already before with The Best Years of Our Lives, which was number 240. He also did Roman Holiday and Funny Girl. And I was looking through the rest of his list. He did a lot of movies with Audrey Hepburn. I did notice that. I was like, oh. So, you two like working with each other. That works. So, this stars Charlton Heston, Jack Hawkins, Hiya Harriet, and I'm adding him because he was in a lot of the movie, but he didn't get top billing, as Stephen Boyd.
Okay. And we have
because
seen...
he is Masala.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did a good job. I liked him.
Agreed.
And we have seen Charlton Heston before with Touch of Evil.
Yes.
So this is his second
film in our list.
Yeah. Alright, so the ratings. IMDb, 29.2% of users rated this at an 8. Metacritic, it has a 90%. Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 86% on 49 critical reviews. 2 of the fresh, Juan Luis Caviero, something like that. One of Wyler's greatest achievements is the way he portrays Jesus Christ, made with elegance and genius.
I can agree with that to some extent. Mostly, I don't know if it was my version or not, but you can never get a clear view of JC.
Nope, it was not your
entire
version.
Film.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah. There's a reason why, of course, but I like that way. I did.
Jack Harrison. William Wyler never lets spectacle and size interfere with the elemental passions and conflicts of his human story. The spectacular aspects emerge naturally from the story, the time and place, and the customs of the society in which the characters live. Yeah, he does really just focus on the human part of it rather than the whole religious part of it.
Yeah.
Which made it more interesting for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, 2 rotten. Dave Kerr. Entire new frontiers and boredom were opened up by this MGM whopper from 1959. Well, I mean, you're not wrong for me. I was so bored.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that, too. Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
Scott Meek. The movie could be trying to say that for some people, religion is an escape from their sexuality, but it seems unlikely. Okay, I didn't read that one before I copied it. I just copied it, so I don't...
And that one actually made me laugh too, because I've seen that happen. I have.
Yeah.
And I can see that in this movie. I can.
Okay. So, the consensus. Uneven, but in terms of epic scope and grand spectacle, Ben-Hur still ranks among Hollywood's finest examples of pure entertainment. I mean, no.
I wouldn't say pure entertainment. I mean, okay, to some people this could be, like, really, like, awesome and entertaining, but I can't really agree with that.
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm in the same boat. So the money. The budget for this film was $15 million. The income, the only place it really made any money was here in the U.S. It made $74,422,622. Its all-time domestic rank is number 1,070. And its highest all-time rank it hit on January 1st, 1982, was number 47.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a while after it came out. So, for the awards, like I said, it won 11 Oscars, so we are just going to pretty much talk about the Oscars, Golden Globes, and BAFTAs, because it only won 17 other awards besides the Oscars, and then 13 other nominations. So, for the Oscars, it did win Best Picture. Sam Zimbalist died during filming, so Mary Taylor accepted the award on his behalf. So I thought that was pretty cool. Best Actor in a Leading Role, Charlton Heston. Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Hugh Griffin. Best Director, William Wyler. Best Cinematography Color, Robert Sturges. Best Art Direction, Set Direction Color, because this is the time when there's color films and black and white films. So they had it separated into color awards and black and white awards. And then Best Costume Design Color, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, Best Effects, Special Effects, and then Best Music Scoring of a Dramatic or Comedy Picture. Those are all of the Oscars that it won. Then...
I don't know if I agree with the sound.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really don't.
I don't know if it was my copy or if it was just the movie in itself, but I don't agree either.
Yeah, that's how I felt about my version too. I'm like, this sound is not the greatest, even with the 1950s.
Yeah.
Okay? I can give some leeway because of the time, but not that much.
Yeah. So the Golden Globes that it won: Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor Stephen Boyd, and then it won a special award. Andrew Martin won for directing the chariot race, because he directed that entire sequence there.
That's pretty epic scene, I will say that.
Yeah. So then the BAFTA, it only won one award there, but it was Best Film from Any Source. That's what it won there. So, initial thoughts.
Do you want me to go first or you?
Go for it.
Okay, so this, I will admit, this is my first time seeing it, like, not, because I've seen it, like, chunks before. I knew about, like, the famous scenes, you know, about, like, you know, the chariot race. I think most people who know the chariot race know it's from Ben-Hur. I think this was drug out.
Yeah.
It did not to be 3.5 hours. It really did not. Some places just like, oh, you're like, okay, do I really need to expand more on this?
Yeah.
No. I know the time period, okay, it was made in the 1950s. I give some leeway, but some of the special effects were not great.
No.
Some. I didn't say all. I said some. Especially with the green screen.
Yeah.
In the back. That was some, I can't really, I've seen other movies and it was better than that.
Yeah.
Okay, and this had a budget of what, 12 million you said?
15.
15. Okay, 15 million back in 1959. Okay, that's a lot of money. It is. Okay, so I felt like it could have been used to a better effect. I mean, yeah, Charlton Heston, great actor. I just felt like, because 3 years before this, he did the Ten Commandments, which is like another kind of religious movie. And I just felt like, no offense to him, but he drug out this religious thing.
I felt like he just drug out everything.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like he was overacting on quite a bit of it, actually.
I would agree with you.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there were definitely parts of it that he was really good, but then there was other parts where I'm just like, can you just not do that anymore?
Yeah, I felt there's a lot of overacting going on.
Yeah, I also agree it was super drug out. Like, it did not need to be that long. There were some really cool parts. Like, the chariot scene was honestly my favorite part of the movie, but I honestly thought that it should have stopped after that. Like, when he goes and talks to Marsala again. That should have been the end of the movie. That should have been. I agree with you.
I do. I completely agree with you on that. But there's still, what, like...
Another hour!
Almost
like
another
50
hour after
minutes!
That. Yeah.
Like, why? I didn't need all of that crap.
No, it was... Yeah, it was dragged out. I think that's the main point. It was dragged out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's a pretty classic film, I mean. For, like, how big of a thing it was. I think that's what it's so famous for. Like, the big effects.
Yeah.
Like, the chariot scene, like you said in the synopsis, the big battle at sea.
Yeah, the sea battle was cool. I liked that.
Like, those two things are the big things that stood out. Everything else was like,
Yeah.
This could have been like 2 hours easy.
Yeah, they did in 2016 at 2 hours, so.
I mean, that one was rated worse, but let's not go there.
I know, I didn't get to watch that one, so I honestly don't know which one's worse.
Well, I probably won't watch that, but yeah.
Yeah, I probably won't get to it now. I was going to try to get to it, but I probably won't now. But, yeah, I will never watch this again.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you on that.
Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So, we start out with a very unnecessary 5-minute overture.
Yeah, I skipped over that because I know how these old films are. They start with a really long overture. Like, it was like 5-6 minutes long. I'm like, nope, skip over, thank you.
Yeah, I was playing on my phone, not paying attention, and then I heard people talking. Because, like, I sat there and listened to it for, like, a minute, and then I started playing on my phone, and I got distracted, and then I heard people talking, and I was like, oh, crap.
Very nice. Well, I mean, it's a long introduction. I mean, the music's good in it. Yeah, It's great music, but a 3+ hour movie, we don't need that long of an intro.
No.
We really don't. Okay, so they're talking. This is where the religion part is. Part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about how people had to go back to, like, the main places their families are from to do, like, counting and taxes of all that.
Yeah, because the Romans are taking over the world.
As usual, and, but we're not going to talk about the Romans. I mean, what do the Romans do for us?
Gave us Roman numerals.
I'm sorry. I gotta use that line when we get to Life of Brian.
They gave us Roman numerals.
There's an entire thing in that movie about that entire thing I just said, but that's for Life of Brian. I'll go on that later.
I haven't watched that, so.
Oh, well, you'll watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you kind of see like people going, getting counted and all that, and there's one person you see, it's Joseph.
Yeah.
And his wife Mary. And surprise, guess who that is?
A baby in a manger, 3 wise men, woohoo!
Yes, you get the whole baby Jesus thing right at the beginning. All right.
And that automatically, like, I already knew because it says Ben-Hur, a tale of Christ, like, blah-de-blah-de-blah, woohoo. So I already was, like, disinterested in this movie, and then they immediately started off with a 5-6 minute overture, and then right after that, they go right into religious crap. So I've already turned my brain off at this point.
And I was like, so when am I going to meet Ben-Hur?
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know that Ben-Hur was the name of the guy until he started calling himself that closer to the end of the movie, because I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't hear him call himself that at the beginning of the movie. So I'm like, what does Ben-Hur have to do with anything for the first 3 hours of the movie? And then the last 45 minutes, I'm like, oh, he's Ben-Hur.
Oh,
okay.
That dude. Yeah. Judah Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
I mean, that's he's technically the main character, but we gotta throw in this religious stuff, baby Jesus, the 3 kings showing up, seeing him, all that jazz.
Okay, I honestly feel like that part could have been left out. Like, I understand that Judah is, like, super religious and crap, but we don't need the religious part at the beginning. Like, we just need to know that he's super religious, and you get that from the conversation that he has with Musala.
Yeah. I guess it's for people who, kind of know, but don't know about it. I don't know.
Well, so...
I don't know.
I did get this far in the book. I read the first 120 pages.
Alright, Kat, explain.
So, in the book, they, really drug this out. It was, 50, 60 pages of this, and...
Fuck.
But it was, they started it out, and you're getting introduced to the 3 wise men, but you don't know it's the 3 wise men. You're just getting introduced to these 3 people from 3 different areas of the world, and they're coming together and they're talking about Christ. So I guess maybe if you knew more about religion than I do, then you probably would have guessed that those are 3 wise men. But it took me 10 chapters in a 13-chapter section of a book to realize what the heck was going on.
I'm guessing it used their real names.
Yeah.
Like Balbasar and I always forget the other 2.
They did say their names, but they only said 2 of them once. They said Balthazar a few times.
Yeah. But
they mostly referred to them as the Hindu, the Egyptian, and the Greek. And I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with anything?
Oh, that's funny.
And then they're talking about Joseph, and I'm like, okay, well, Joseph, there's lots of Josephs in the Bible, so what the heck Joseph is this one? And then they never said his wife's name until later on, and then they finally said Mary, and that's when I realized what the heck was going on. So they really drug that part out, and then, so I guess that's probably why they put it in the movie, is because it was in the book, and it was a big section of the book. It was it was probably like 50, 60 pages. Like, literally the first 50, 60 pages of the book was the baby in the manger story, like, getting there. And then
it does need to be that long.
Yeah. No. I agree. That's why I stopped reading the stupid book.
I was like, even in the Bible itself, it's not that long.
No, they drug it out. Like, a lot.
You don't need to. It's literally not even, like, a chapter or two in, like,
oh no,
some of the books.
It's 13 chapters in Ben-Hur. 13! Just so you know.
This is great.
I got 120 pages into this book, and then I was like, nope, I'm done.
You're like, I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, you did tell me that. You're like, I'm out. I'm like, alright.
Started reading Misery instead. I was like, I can't do this.
Which is probably much better.
Oh, much.
Alright. Then we'd, like, do all that Jesus stuff. You have the title card saying, you know, Ben-Hur and all that jazz. Gets to years later, and you see, like, these Romans coming, marching through, because, you know, the Romans take over everything. Yeah. It's in Nazareth. And you see, Joseph. He's a carpenter, so he's doing some carpentry. Some dude comes in, he's like, yo, where's your son? He's supposed to finish my table already. And he's like, oh, he's wandering. He's like, why isn't he not doing his job? He's like, and Joseph's like, oh, he's doing a job. It's like, what? What? If you don't know what the hell's going on, you'd be like, that kid's a frickin' slacker. He's not doing his goddamn job.
Yeah, I completely missed all of that. I must have been looking at my phone.
Probably. So I caught that for you.
I checked out. I was done. Was this 20 minutes into the movie and I was already done with it?
Oh, and then you have 3 more hours after that.
3 hours and 20 minutes more. And I was already done with the movie 20 minutes in. Oh, shit.
Alright, so then you get to, the Romans are in Jerusalem. They're talking about, the governor. Was it the governor there?
Yeah, the governor. They're getting a new governor.
Yeah, and the old one is, like, talking about, he's talking because, Masala comes back. He's an adult, and he's the new tribune.
Yeah, which
the Roman
is like,
tribune.
He's like the captain of the guard type thing.
Yeah, kind of like that. That's what I think of it as.
I think that's the easiest way to explain it to myself.
And, like, the dude's like, well, like, Masala's like, well, how are things here? He's like, not great. People are talking, you know. They're like, oh, they're not very accepting of, like, the Romans. Like, yeah. Well, duh, you came into their own land.
Well, you know, they're not the only ones to do that and kick everybody out, so.
I mean, Jerusalem's been just, like, taken over I don't know how many times.
I wasn't talking about Jerusalem, I was talking about America, but. You know, well,
I can't even lie there, because you're right. I mean, yeah. And they're talking about, like, oh, he's saying how the Jewish people in there are talking about, like, some Messiah, and he mentions, like, this guy, John, wandering in the forest, you know, baptizing people. I'm like, okay, so that's John the Baptist. Alright.
I missed all of this.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going then to help you catch up.
Just go. The first part I remember is Masala and Judah talking about how they've been reunited and they are like talking and Judah's like, well, I'm not gonna help you take over my people. Like, that's
I'm almost there.
Okay.
We're almost there.
Okay.
And then, like, this guard comes in saying that, Judah Ben-Hur wants to see Masala.
Okay, here we are. I know where we're
now
at.
You're caught up. All right.
I know where we're at now.
So I got the first chunk of it for you. You're welcome.
Yeah, then, Judah and Masala are, like, super excited to see each other because they grew up together. And, because I think it was Judah saved Masala from something. They didn't specify what.
Other way around.
Oh, whatever. One of them saved the other one, and they didn't specify, like, what exactly happened.
Yeah. They just said, you know, he saved my life this one time, so.
Yeah. But, so, Masala's kind of, like, asking Judah for help in trying to get the people of Judea to accept this Roman governor that's coming in. Or the Roman soldiers are going to basically get rid of the leaders of Judea that are already in place. Yeah. Basically is what he said. And,
big takeover.
Yeah, and Judah's like, no, why would I help you kill my own people?
He's like, nah, bro, I'm not going to do that. I don't care if we've been friends. I'm more loyal to my own people. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is honestly how I kept myself focused. I wrote in that style on my notes. It's like, oh, this dude is tripping. Like, that's how my notes are. So that's how I kept myself entertained.
And so Musala is like, well, I'm going to be the second in command here, so I just really need your help with that. And he's straight up, no, not happening. And then he's talking to him about, like, his family, like Judah's sister and mom, because Musala used to live with them. So they're gonna, the next day, did I miss anything?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Keep going. You're good.
Then the next day, Musala gets kind of reunited with Tusila, whatever the heck her name is, something like that.
I didn't even bother writing their names down. I wrote mom and sis.
Tirsa and Miriam. I only remembered Miriam because that's the name of the character in Prince of Egypt, so...
I was like, I hope you would remember that one.
Yeah, that one I remembered.
That's a pretty common, like, woman's name back then, I noticed.
Yeah. But they, and apparently Tirsa, which is the sister, she used to be, like, super hung up on Musala, and she still kind of is. So she's super excited to see him. He has a little gift for her. It's like some rock or something.
Rock or a brooch, I don't freaking know.
It looked like a rock. But, so, they kind of are talking shop a little bit, and Tirsa's just like, well, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just gonna stare dreamily at Musala, because he's handsome. That's basically what she looked like the entire time. And then Miriam's just over there looking real upset about what the guys are talking about. And then Judah's like, we don't need to talk about this here with the women, so let's go somewhere else. And then...
You're good still.
Okay. So the boys leave, and
it's where Judah gives Musala a horse.
Oh yeah, that white horse. Like,
the
really
pretty white horse. And Musala's like, well, have you talked to, like, talk to people about, trying to be more accepting of the Romans? He's like, yeah, I did. I tried to preach, nonviolence and all of that. I mean, most people were for it.
But not everybody.
Not everybody.
And that makes Musala mad that not everybody is for nonviolence. He's like, well, who isn't? And Judah's like, well, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to figure that out yourself.
He's like, I'm not snitching on my people.
Yeah. And Musala's telling Judah how he can rise up in the ranks with him, like be his like right-hand man, and eventually they can end up in Rome with Caesar.
Is it Tiberius?
Everything. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I'm trying to think.
I think they said his name once.
Yeah.
I think it is Tiberius. And then Judah starts getting mad because Musala wants to kill the people that are against Roman rule. So basically he wants to kill all of them.
Yeah. And he's like, brah, that's not cool.
Yeah. So, he's like, you're either for Roman rule or you're against it. And Judah's like, well, I'm for my people, so I guess I'm against Roman rule. And then they're both mad, and they both walk off.
Yeah.
And then Judah is having, like, a family dinner, and he's telling his mom and his sister what happened. with Musala in that, like, Musala is just trying to take over and kill everybody, pretty much.
He's really got that Roman blood going.
Yeah.
Going strong there.
Then I guess it's like the next day or later that day or something, I don't know. The time in this was real weird.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of jumpy without telling you it's being jumpy.
Yeah. But, so then we meet this old man, and I didn't catch his name.
I didn't either. I just called him some old dude that hangs out with them. Yeah.
It just called him a merchant, because he seemed like a merchant. But then it also seemed like he was a slave, too.
Yeah, like a slave for Judah's family.
Yeah. But it seemed like Judah is one of those that's more friendly to his slaves, rather than, like, 12 Years a Slave, where you've got them beating people.
Nice comparison there.
This is the only comparison I could think of.
It's a good one.
So we meet the merchant dude's father. Her name is Esther, and she is asking Judah's permission to marry some man because she is also Judah's slave, so she needs his permission to marry. And he's like, yeah, of course you can do that, and as your wedding gift, I'll give you your freedom.
Yep, and so they're talking also later on.
Yeah.
Judah and Esther, and there's total vibes going on there.
Yeah.
Total vibes. Kind of, I don't know what it is about Charlton Heston. His romantic scenes are just so awkward.
Yeah, they are.
They're just so awkward. I'm like, dude, how can you be so awkward? This is where some of his overacting is happening.
Yeah. But they're, like, talking to each other, and he's wishing that she wasn't getting married, and she's kind of wishing that she wasn't getting married, and then they kiss, and then it moves on to the next day or something like that.
That was such an awkward scene to watch.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, really? Is this how we do romantic scenes in the 1950s? I've seen better. Come on.
So, then it's like next day or something like that, maybe next week, and we've got the new governor coming in, and all the soldiers and everything, and Musala's talking to, I think Judah he's talking to. He's like, is there going to be a warm welcome? And he's like, no. Or no, he's not talking to Judah, I don't know. He's talking to somebody and realizes there's not going to be a warm welcome, but they're not going to resist either.
Yeah, they're just going to be quiet.
Yeah. And so everybody's watching this parade through the town, and Judah and his sister are standing up top of a roof. I guess it's like the roof of their little area, their little house area, and you kind of see the shillings, like, Tirsa's got her hand on the shillings that are on the side of the roof there, and they kind of, move a little bit, and then she walks away, and then she comes back, and she puts her hand back on it, and it falls down, and it hits the governor, and he falls off his horse.
It really just spooked his horse.
Yeah.
From what I saw. I'm like, it didn't really hit him. It just kind of spooked his horse, and his horse kind of just bucked him off. That's what I saw.
I looked down, so I thought it hit him.
Oh.
I don't know.
It just looked like it bucked him off, and he fell hard. That's about it.
Probably.
And I was like, how dramatic can you be?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a horse bucking you off. Yes, I mean, yeah, that's probably hurts a lot, but really you don't have to pass out and be dramatic about it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a governor and supposed to be like this big old tough guy. Yeah. Good first impression there.
Getting bucked off a horse hurts, though. Like, a lot.
Well, I'm not saying that. Dude's got armor on, though.
This probably makes it hurt worse.
Just saying. I have no sympathy.
I don't either. I'm just saying that hurts. So.
Don't care.
He was being a big baby.
Total big baby. Ugh.
So the guards are, like, trying to go get in because they saw Judah and his sister up there. They're trying to go get them. And Judah's just like, let him in, I'll explain everything. And so they let him in, and they get captured. They take the whole family. And Judah's, like, trying to talk to Musala, but Musala's not hearing it because he's mad at Judah. And so then it's, like, later on or the next day or something, and they're going to sentence Judah, but he hasn't even had a trial yet, so he's, like, super upset about it. Of course.
Of course. I mean, that's you can be angry about that.
Yeah. Well, so he's, like, fighting off the guards, and then he manages to kind of get away a little bit, and he breaks the stick that they put to hold his hands behind his back, and then he's, like, hiding in the corner and trying to escape. And then he manages to get to where Musala is at, and he's, like, threatening him to tell him where his mom and his sister are. And Musala is counter-threatening him, saying that if you hurt me, they're good as dead, basically.
Yeah. You know what? The whole thing is why he's been sentenced without a trial is he's using it pretty much as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if I take you out, because, you know, you're this big influence, I take you out, they're going to listen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see what you mean, but kind of a dick move.
Yeah. So, Musala does say that the governor is recovering and that...
Like, the dude's fine.
Yeah. It's like, there's nothing wrong with him in the first place. But then some more guards come in and they take Judah back into custody. And then he gets put into slavery.
Yeah, and there's this little parts where, right before you see them marching in the desert, there's, Esther and, like, her dad go try to talk to Musala, saying, like, oh no, Judah would never do anything like that at all. Yeah. And, of course, they're assholes, and they take the dad into custody for questioning. Yeah. It's like, really? Yeah. Really? Come on.
Then we see, of course, like you had said, the prisoners walking through the desert. And, you know, they're walking through the desert and they have no water or anything. So they, one of them, like, falls over and he's dead, basically. And they just kind of unchain him and shove him down the hill and call it good. And then just keep walking. Then they come up to this little town and they see a well, and all the prisoners go run to the well. And the townspeople are trying to fight them back because they have to get water for the horses and the soldiers, because the soldiers are yelling at them, get water for the soldiers first, get the prisoners back, blah, blah, blah. And so everybody gets water, and then they start giving the prisoners water, but one of the soldiers stops someone from giving Judah water.
Yeah.
And he like, falls over. And then we see someone come and help him and give him water.
And, like, the Roman guards are like, you shouldn't give him water, and, like, yelling at him. And he's like, yeah. Like, the guy's like, I'm not going to be listening to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know who this is, but...
Yeah, I already, like...
Wait,
because the music changed right here. Like, right when he starts getting the water, the music has changed. So you automatically, if you know anything about this movie, if you have read that part that says, A Tale of Christ, you know exactly who that is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so.
It's like, it's JC himself, yo.
It's Jesus.
Jesus! Or Yesu, or, God, there's all kinds of different languages that, you know,
so many different languages they call them.
So many different names.
Yeah, so many different names, not languages. They call them languages. Oh, man.
Same thing!
So, the guard backs off and lets Jesus give Judah water. And Judah's, like, mesmerized by this man giving him water. I
always make the joke, I'm like, okay, so this isn't, you know, It's probably Nazareth, where Jesus hung out and everything. And
yeah.
This is like, okay, so this is in Jerusalem, so this is like the Middle East, right?
Uh-huh.
I always thought of the joke. This sounds so sacrilegious, but I don't care. You see Jesus in this movie, okay? He's got long brown hair, paler skin. Dude stands out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, where? I'm like, this isn't really accurate to where the area is. How he's supposed to look, but let's not go there, I guess. I can go there, but I'll be good.
So, then we jump to, like, some ships or something, and there's some kind of new commander.
Quintus! We get to meet Quintus soon.
Yeah. And, they didn't call him commander, they called him something else, but I was just like, he's a commander. I'm gonna call him that.
The consul or something?
Yeah, that's what they called him.
Yeah.
So, he's, like, down there looking at the rowers, and he's like, this one is sick, replace him. And he goes and looks at another one, and he's got a whole bunch of whip marks on his back. He's like, this one is trouble, isn't he? And they're like, yeah. And then he walks on, and we see Judah over there, and he talks to Judah.
And he asks him how long he's been doing it. And he's like, oh, about 3 years or so. Like,
yeah.
So, 3 years have passed already?
Yeah, I'm like, what?
I'm like, surprise everybody, 3 years have gone by.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big timeline jump without any notice at all.
None. That's just your only hint at it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, it does that a few times, too.
Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, so it's been this long. Okay.
So then, the commander guy whips Judah, and he, like, turns up to fight, but he stops himself. Like, he turns around and has his fist raised to fight him, but he's like, no, that's a bad idea, so he stops himself. And then we hear something about some raiders or something, like some people coming to fight the Roman people. I don't remember what they called them. I didn't write it down, so I just called them raiders. We've got the commander down there, and he's like, keeps telling them to change the speed.
Yeah. That
they're rowing. And he's like got them going freaking crazy. And you've got people falling all over the place because they're just so tired from rowing so fast and so long. And then he just tells them to stop.
And I'm like, okay.
And then we see Judah, it looks like he's sneaking into the cabin while the commander dude is asleep. And the commander dude wakes up and he's like, Judah's like, I was told to report to you. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, what?
Yeah, that's what my thought too. Like, okay, so you forget you're supposed to have somebody in your room, so you take a nap?
I mean, that's definitely something I would do. Like, forget that I'm doing, like, hanging out with somebody or something and just fall asleep.
It's like, whoops. Whoops-a-daisy.
And then they're, like, trying to call me and stuff, and I don't ever have my phone on anything but vibrate, so you're just kind of out of luck if you're trying to get a hold of me and I'm asleep, because I'm dead to the world.
Oh, this is why we're friends, Kat. I'm the same way. And so, Judah and Quintus are talking, and he's like, he asked him about his name? If I remember correctly.
Something like that, and then he also asks him about being his own personal slave. His, like, chariot runner or something like that.
Yes, chariot racer, gladiator, And Judah's like, nah, brah, not gonna do that. Sorry.
Yeah. And then we hear that the enemy has been sighted. And then we get the big sea battle, which is, I think it was done really well. Like, yeah, there's some spotty CGI in it, but...
CGI and special effects. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But the parts that were not CGI, where you could, like, blatantly tell, holy crap, were pretty good. The one, like, practical effect thing that they did, I was just like, oh, because I was kind of disappointed in it when the ship rams into the other ship and the water starts coming in. I was like, oh.
Okay, so I'm not the only one who's a little disappointed in that.
I was so disappointed. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, too. I'm like, okay, so you're supposed to be cramming into this ship. It didn't look like you did.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like it was, like, already kind of broken. You just kind of just wedged yourself in.
Yeah.
And, like, in this part, there's a big thing that Judah was the only one unchained.
Yeah.
The only one. Because Quintus told someone to unchain him.
Yeah.
His number 41.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a name. He's 41.
Yeah. And so he starts helping people escape, like, starts unchaining some of them, but the ship is sinking, so he escapes and, like, climbs up and gets out. And he is able to save the captain.
Quintus, yeah.
Yeah, captain, commander, that dude.
That dude.
You know, that dude. Then we get a Titanic scene.
Yeah.
And it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
It's bad. Let's be honest here. It was bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't very good at all. Like, that part, I was like, man, that's some bad green screen effect there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give some leeway because it was 1950s, but with a budget of $15 million, come on.
Yeah, because that's a lot of money. But it was a lot. So, their green screen effects should have been a lot better. But, Judah stops Quintus from killing himself because he's trying to kill him. And then he knocks him out, which that was pretty terrible, the acting in that. He just kind of barely taps him on the head with some chains and he gets conked out. Then Quintus wakes up and he's a captive of Judah. He's got him all chained up and everything. And Judah's like asking him, why did you unchain me? Because Quintus is asking him, why did you save me? So it's kind of like a question for a question.
Yeah.
Then they see a ship on the horizon and find out it's a Roman ship. So they get collected by the Romans. And they find out that the battle was won. They bring Judah onto the ship. And instead of making him a prisoner, he's like celebrated for saving Quintus. And he kind of has, like, PTSD when he sees the rowers down at the bottom of the ship. He just kind of stands there and stares at them. Like bad flashbacks or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too.
Then we've got the little Roman parade. They get back to Rome. And Quintus is getting celebrated for winning the battle at sea and stopping those people who I forgot to write down the name of them. The emperor gives a little bit of a speech about how well he did, and he gets some stupid little stick.
Stupid little stick. I love it. I was like, well, he does. I mean,
what is he supposed to do with it? Like, it's just a stupid little stick. Like, then he asks about Judah, and he tells him that Quintus tells the emperor that Judah's the one that saved him. And he's talking about making him his slave. Like how he originally had wanted. But Judah's like, no.
It does say that the Tiberius. Okay, I remember his name. He talks to Quintus like after the parade and all that jazz. He's like, yeah, he's gonna be your slave. I mean, we all agreed on this. It's all fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it gets to, like... It seems like a while later.
I think it's like a year.
Yeah, and there's, like, dancing going on. This looks
like some kind of festival or something.
Yeah, this looks like a Quintus's place, you know. He's a big consul, a big guy in Rome, so he's got a nice place.
Yeah, and then he's talking about how everybody knows that he lost his son, but now he's got a new son in Judah because he's been doing really well, and he has officially adopted him. I'm like, how can you adopt an adult?
Surprise, you can!
Apparently in Rome.
If he's your slave.
I guess so.
Because he was saying, like, oh, you know, Judah's such a great chariot racer. I mean, he's like a 5-time winner, all that.
Yeah.
And he does
Judah
adopt
just,
him.
Judah just, graciously accepts it. He's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll be your son. Whatever.
And Quintus introduces Judah to Pontius Pilate.
Yep.
It's like, now, if you know about Pontius Pilate, you'll see why he's more important later on.
I recognize his name, but I don't really know anything about him.
Do you remember the end of the movie?
Yes.
Okay, when we get to that, I'll explain.
Okay. So, Judah tells Quintus that he's going to be leaving. He's going to go back to Judah, because he needs... Yeah, Judaea. Because he needs to, save it or whatever. And then Quintus tells him that Pontius Pilate's going to be the new governor. And he's like, well, then I definitely need to go back.
He's like, okay, that dude's alright. I know him. I'll be alright.
Yeah. And so he starts heading back, and he's not quite there, and he runs some Balthazar, which he's one of the wise men from the very beginning of the movie.
Surprise!
Yep. He comes up to him and talks to him, and is like, are you the man I'm looking for? Because I'm looking for this man. He's like the son of Christ. Christ. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, no, I'm not that dude. I'm not.
Yeah. And then we see some chariot practice. This guy's like trying, and he sucks at it. So Judah gives advice to the owner of the chariot, and then they go into the guy's tent and are like having dinner and talking and stuff, and the chariot owner guy is sitting there talking about his wives and how he has like 10 of them or something like that. He's like, well, do you want to meet them?
I was like, there's some good lines right there. I will admit, those are some pretty funny lines.
Yeah, that part was really funny. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And so he like brings them in, and he's like, they're really shy, so you gotta give them and it opens the curtain, and it's the 4 horses.
Those beautiful white horses.
And I'm just like, what the heck? Like, this is the most hilarious part of the movie. This like little 20-30 minute section here. It's just like, this is great.
He's like, let's see how jealous they get and see which one I pick to greet first. You know? It's like, they're horses. Yeah. I love it.
But he is talking about how he's trying to find a driver, and he asks Judah to be his driver, and then he mentions Musala is the driver for Rome. And that kind of motivates Judah a little bit, because he's mad at Musala for the past 4 years of his life.
I mean, the dude's got some deep vengeance there going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's justified. It is.
Yeah. But he kind of just says no right now and then goes home. And we see that his home is kind of abandoned and forgotten. Because as soon as he was arrested and his family was arrested, all the slaves left because they didn't want to be there without anyone to, like, provide for them. And they really trusted Judah, so they all left. And then nobody really took care of that place because it was kind of like a bad omen or something, I guess. With the Romans being there.
Yeah. And when he's there, he sees a woman at the top, and she's climbing down the steps. And he realized that's Esther.
Yep. So he talks to her, and she freaks out because he's alive. She didn't think that he was alive anymore. And he asks about his mother and sister, and she says she doesn't know. She thinks that they're still in prison. But her father's here. You can come talk to her father. And I'm just like, what the heck does he know? If you don't know anything, you've probably already talked to your dad, so he probably doesn't know anything either. And just like, what's the point of going and talking to him?
Yeah, I mean, there's that. The dad, when he was in there, he got tortured, and so he no longer has the use of his legs.
Yeah, and then some other guy that's there doesn't have the use of his tongue, so he's like, I'm his tongues and he's my legs, and I'm just like, what the heck? That's super weird. Like, I would not want to be anybody's tongue. For sure. Definitely not.
And then we get Esther and Judah talking some more. Totes kiss again. Because these two, I mean, just like, come on, just do it already and get it over with.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
It has been 4 years since he was captured because, her dad says something about how nobody could survive in those dungeons for 4 years. So it's been 4 years. Total. Since he was captured. And all that.
And she's saying, you have too much hate, too much vengeance going on. You gotta let that shit go.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, brah. He's like, nah, I'm gonna do this. I need some vengeance. I need some blood.
Yeah. And, Esther's worried about him. Which, I mean, whatever. And then we see Musala is, like, in his palace or whatever, because now he's a chariot racer. And he's playing with his whip. And, then he receives a gift from young Ares.
Arius, I think.
Yeah, Ares. And he's like, well, I haven't even met this man. And he comes in, and lo and behold, it's Judah, because he was adopted.
And Judah comes in, he's like, where's my sister? Where's my mother? You know, where are they at? He's like threatening them and all that.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I don't know, last time I saw them, they were in the dungeons, so they're probably still there, or they're dead. He's like, well, you need to find out, because I need to know.
So after Judah leaves, Masala's like, find out what they are, and kill them.
Yeah, so he goes and looks for him, and the jailer takes him down there. And the jailer goes in, like, he says they're alive because the food keeps getting taken, so he goes in there, and he, like, the music gets all intense, and he, like, backs out all wide-eyed. And then the other guy goes in, and he does the exact same thing, and they call them lepers.
Yep, leprosy. It was pretty common back then.
Yeah, well, especially you're sitting there in a dungeon for 4 years, of course it's gonna happen.
Sitting there in your own filth. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So, he says to release them, and they're gonna burn the cell. So, they end up going to, what is it, Leper Valley or something like that?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. They don't go yet.
Yeah.
They, go back to the house first. And, Esther's there, and she keeps hearing something. So she turns around, and then she finally sees them. And, Miriam and Tirsa are, like, talking to her about Judah. She's like, he's well. And they're telling her, we don't want him to see us like this. We just wanted to know he's okay. Will you please tell him that we're dead? Because I'd rather him think that we're dead and have good memories than see us like this and have bad memories.
And she's like, all right. So she totally lies to him, too.
Yeah, so then they leave and go to the valley thing.
Yeah.
Judah's upset because, of course, he thinks his family's dead. And Esther's like, you need to forget your vengeance. I'm like, are you kidding me?
He's like, oh, now it's even more, because you just told them they're dead.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we can't get them back ever.
Yeah. And then we get, like, a 10-minute intermission. Which was actually good, because I had to pee.
My version, thankfully, cut out the intermission.
Oh, mine didn't. I went to the bathroom and then I had to skip it.
Yeah, there was no intermission in mine. Mine just kind of just cut it, which is great.
I wish. It was like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's usually how they went back then. I mean, those intermissions were long, the overture was long, the exit was long, why not?
Yeah. So Nick comes back and, Musala...
It's at a bathhouse.
Yeah, and he gets a visit from, the racer dude that was trying to hire Judah. I don't remember what his name is.
I think it says Sheik.
Sheik, okay.
So it says on here on the IMDb page.
Okay.
Sheik.
So he's got like a gambling proposition for him for chariot racing. He's trying to get some odds from him, and they're like, well, we're not going to give you odds before we know who the driver is. And so he's like, well, Judah's my driver. And then Musala gets kind of upset about that. And so the odds end up being 4-1. And he's like, that's the difference between a Roman and a Jew. And I was like, whoa. That's kind of harsh. Like, really harsh, actually.
Completely harsh. And it's, he puts 1,000 talents as the wager.
Yeah. And, so then we see Judah's practicing. So my guess is, I don't know how long it's been now, but it's been a while because he's been able to work with these horses to get these horses to trust him. Because after he's done practicing, he goes over there and he's like talking to the horses and they're all nipping at him and playing with him and stuff. And I'm just like, horses don't just automatically do that.
No.
So there's another timeline jump there that we have no idea how long it's been.
Who knows at this point?
And then we get to the chariot race part. Like, it's we've got Pontius Pilate there. Like, literally everybody's friggin' there. We've got like the entire Jerusalem or wherever the heck they're at. I think it's Jerusalem because they're all cheering for Judah when he gets introduced.
Yeah, and the Sheik, he puts the Star of David on Judah.
Yep.
I noticed that.
And also we see Judah pray for forgiveness. He like puts his little hood thing on and like goes and stands in the corner for like 2 seconds and prays.
Yeah.
Like, literally the only non-drug out thing in the entire movie.
Yeah, that was quick. I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Yep. And then so they get started lining up the horses.
Yep.
Like before they come out, they're gonna go line them up and everything. And then Team 5 is missing, which of course that's Musala because he's got to make an entrance.
Because he's a goddamn Roman.
Yeah. And he's got spikes on his chariot wheels.
And I'm like, well, that sounds like he's cheating. I mean, I think they were able to do that, but...
I mean, nobody stopped him, so...
No, I just still think it's not unfair.
Yeah.
It's completely unfair. But it's been said that chariot races, people can die.
Yeah.
They can, because it's such high speeds, and there's a bunch of chariots going at once, so...
Yeah. And this part is like... This part was super drug out, like them getting lined up and ready to race and stuff. Because it takes like 10 minutes. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Can we just start this stupid thing already?
Yeah, they got to circle the track at least once, then they got to be introduced, and all
and
that.
And then the horses, of course, are super restless, so we got to show that. And then, of course, the wheels get caught on each other because the horses are moving too much. And I'm just like, okay, can we just please start this thing?
I mean, once it gets started, it's fine. It just drug out before that.
Yeah, I think, it was like 10, 15 minutes the chariot race was? Something like that?
It technically isn't very long of a race.
Yeah. But it was super cool, like, just so much action packed into there, and so much stuff happening.
There's a lot that goes on.
The very first turn they go into, you already got one chariot broken down. You almost get some messed up horse hooves, or like ankles, because Musala's spikes almost get Judah's horse's ankles, but then he ends up getting somebody else's wheels a little bit later.
Yeah, like he uses those blades on him just to edge everybody out.
Yeah, he uses the blades and gets all the wheels messed up to where the wheel will fall off.
Yeah, and like this happens, people get trampled because it's so quick, and there's people trying to come in to get them, and they have to like hurry really quickly because there's chariots still going, and there's like no stopping it all. I'm like, oh my god, this is super dangerous.
Yeah. And I think it's funny the lap markers are fish.
Like dolphins?
They look like a fish on mine.
Oh, they look like dolphins on mine.
The lips did not look like dolphins on mine. It looked like big, huge fish lips.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, either one works.
I just thought that was funny.
They're a sea creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got two chariots that crash into each other, and then they go around, and Judah like has to run over the chariot because Musala's got him pinned against the wall and there's nowhere to go. And he like almost flips out of his chariot, but he's able to get back in.
Yeah, he cuts his head a little bit. There's some blood there.
Yeah.
They're like neck and neck, and then Musala, like, I swear, this is like a major dick move. He just starts, instead of whipping his horses, he just starts whipping Judah.
Yeah. And then Judah wrestles the whip away from him and starts whipping Musala. And Musala's chariot gets all messed up and he falls out, and then he gets trampled by horses. He's just like lying there in the middle of the dirt, and Judah wins the race.
Yeah.
And then the crowd's all celebrating everything, and Pontius Pilate's like super shocked that Judah won. But Judah goes up there to get his crown. He's been crowned the god. I'm just like, you can crown gods? That's how this works?
Surprise.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? That's how it works.
Oh, okay.
You have to win a chariot race.
Well. Dang, I'm never gonna be a god.
Darn. It's okay, neither am I.
That's my only life goal.
Sad day, Kat. Sad day.
So, Musala is supposed to be getting help, but he refuses until Judah comes to see him. And he's like, Judah's gonna come, and they're like, you really need to get help now or you're gonna die. He's like, not until Judah sees me. So he's waiting. And then Judah does come and talks to him. And this is where it should have ended. Like, should have been done. No more. We're done with this freaking movie. But, instead...
There's more.
There's a whole other 50 minutes.
I
because
love the anger.
Musala has to tell Judah that his family's still alive and they're over there in the Valley of the Lepers.
The leper colony.
Yeah, whatever.
And he's like telling him this, and he's like dying too. After Musala dies, Judah walks back onto the truck and everything. He's like, alright, I got a purpose. I gotta go find my mom and sister and everything.
Yep, so then we see him, he's near the valley, and he's like trying to find a way down there, and the guy's like, you don't want to go down there. You crazy? But he ends up finding a way down, and he's walking around asking for a mom and a daughter, and the guy's like, there's a lot of women here.
He's like, I don't know who they are. We don't go by names here.
Yeah. And then we see Esther. She's there. And apparently she's been taking food to them this entire time. And she's like trying to get Judah to leave before they see him, because they don't want him seeing them like this. And so they start coming out, and he hides behind a rock, and he hears their voice and is just like super upset because all he wants to do is see them. And they ask about Judah, and Esther tells him that Judah's doing good. Then they go back in their little cave, and he's like trying to get over there, but the big dude that doesn't have a tongue and Esther stop him from going in there. Like, she's yelling at him, they don't want you to see them. You need to leave. So they leave. Then we see this big, huge gathering for Jesus.
This is JC on the mountaintop, yo.
And Balthazar is there, and he's talking to Judah, and he says that he's found everything he was looking for, and Judah's like, congratulations, good for you.
It's like, whoop-de-freaking do. It's
like super petty and everything.
I'm like, oh, snap. This dude is, like, so hard. So hardened. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, Judah goes and talks to, Judah leaves, because he's upset.
He's like, I'm not dealing with this. And Esther's like, well, I'm going to go see what's going on up there. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah. She stays. So then Judah goes and talks to Pontius Pilate. When he tells him that he's become a citizen of Rome. And he's like, well, I blame Rome for everything.
Which he can for. He can.
Yeah.
I mean...
And then he gives Pontius Pilate the ring that, what's his name, the commander dude gave back to him.
Quintus,
yeah. He gives him Quintus's ring back. And then he goes home.
Yeah, he goes home, sees Esther, asks about dad, and, like, Esther's like, oh my god, you gotta go see this Jesus dude. Like, he was talking about, you know, blessed are the merciful, you know, and, like, all these things. She was just quoting pretty much the Beatitudes, which are just, like, blessed are the merciful, blessed are, like, that.
Yeah, and Judah's just like, I don't care.
He's like, nah. He's like, I'm good. He's like, now, I gotta get my sister and my mom, you know, like, I gotta cure them or do something for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, they're lepers.
Yeah. So they go to get them, and at first they're like really against it. They don't want anything to do with it. They're like, no, we're gonna stay here. And then eventually Miriam sees Judah, and she's crying and everything because she's upset that he's seeing her this way. And then we also find out that Tirsa's dying. Esther says, oh, why don't we take them to Jesus?
Jesus will heal them. Yeah.
He can work miracles. And so Judah's like, okay, whatever, let's give it a shot. Then they get into the town, and the blind man is there asking for coins. And Judah's like, well, where is everybody? And the blind man says, oh, they're over at the trial. The Jesus guy is being persecuted for something or something.
Yeah, trial. For being, like, a false king or something like that. People are claiming that he's, like, the king of the Jews or something like that.
Yeah. Then some people see them and yell at the lepers and throw rocks at them. And then we see the carrying of the cross.
Well, you skip Pontius really quick. I want to explain this to you. Just really quick so you know. Okay, so you looking down, you see Pontius Pilate, he's wiping his hands like that, right?
Yeah.
So what he did, he's wiping his hands of, like, Jesus. He's like, you know what? You guys do whatever the hell you want with him. It's not my problem anymore. That's really what his big thing is.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when, like, the crowd's like, okay, we're going to do what we want, and we're going to go take him away.
Okay.
That's literally what it is.
And then that's when the carrying of the crosses happen. And,
yep.
So Judah follows Jesus through the carrying of the crosses, and Esther and Miriam and Tirsa stay. And Judah's like, wait, I know this guy. And because he recognizes him as the man that gave him the water like 600 years ago. That's what it feels like.
It does. It does. We're getting close though, Kat.
But the crowd is begging for mercy, and the Romans are like, no, we're just gonna do what we want. But Miriam and Tirsa are gonna go back to the valley because they've just decided that there's no hope for themselves anymore. They're going to just go die in the valley. And Jesus keeps falling because, he's been tortured pretty much at this point.
He's been whipped and all that, and just, he's a mess right now.
Yeah, the soldiers keep, knocking people back, but Judah's able to get over there and give him a little bit of water before the soldiers knock him away. And then we see the nailing to the cross and everything.
And this is where I said the sound was not right.
This isn't where the sound wasn't right in mine. Mine was a different spot. But I may not have noticed in this part.
I did. It sounded like, okay, so how post-production they usually have the sound stage and everything, where they do the extra. It just didn't line up correctly.
That may have just been your version, because in my version, it was a different part that it didn't line up at all.
Huh. That's interesting. Because it sounded delayed.
Yeah, it was way earlier when mine was super delayed. It was super bad delayed.
Yeah, this one was pretty bad on mine. I'm really?
When Jesus was giving Judah the water, and the soldiers yelling at them, he's yelling, or his mouth is moving a ton, and then 5 seconds later is when you actually hear the sound.
Yeah, that happened a few times in mine too.
Okay. I may not have noticed it because I was just done and I was playing on my phone and halfway writing notes at this point. I was done. But we're almost done anyways. So, Judah's talking to Balthazar and he's like, well, there goes your dream. Being a butthead.
Yeah, and he's trying to explain to Judah, why Jesus is doing all this, and this is where it gets religious and preachy.
Yeah.
Saying, he's doing this for everybody. He's doing this to take away all the sins and all of that, so we can have, eternal life. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean...
And then we see the women, and they're over in a cave, and this big, huge storm has started, and the ladies they're like, oh, I'm not afraid anymore. He made me feel not afraid or whatever. It's just this whole religious bit.
It's there's lightning, there's thunder, there's darkness, even though it's technically, well, it depends on which kind of theology you're going off. It's around 3 o'clock. Okay. In theology. That's what they go off, 3 o'clock.
There still can be a really bad storm at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it get really, really dark, so
yeah.
That doesn't,
I know, but there's the whole religious thing, that's why.
Yeah, I was just okay, why are they upset that it's dark outside? Because it's storming? That happens all the time? I don't get it, but...
It's I got the religious, thing to it, but... Again, I'm a Catholic, so I got that, immediately.
But Miriam and Tirsa start feeling this really bad pain and everything, and the storm has started because Jesus has died.
Yep.
One of them says that.
Yep, JC died, yo.
Then the storm is over, and we see that their leprosy is gone.
Yep, they're nice and clean now.
It's a miracle.
And they step, I will admit, this is some nice cinematography here. So they step out into the rain and everything, and you see, from down the crucifix, where Jesus is at, you see blood running down, mixing with the rainwater and the puddles and all that.
Yeah.
That I liked. That was cool.
That was good. I liked that.
I like that.
But so, everybody returns, Judah returns home, and he sees Esther, and he's telling her what she saw, and then Miriam and Tirsa come down, and he sees, they're cured, and everybody's happy, and the big old family, and then we see the crosses.
The 3 crosses on Calvary. That's,
yep.
Yeah. And done.
Yep.
3.5 hours later.
Shrunk into an hour and a half.
It's we're trying, people. We condensed a 3.5 hour movie into, hour or something. We're doing good.
Yep. So, the music for this one is by Miklos Rosas? Rosa? Something like that. He is known for Spellbound from 1945 Double Indemnity from 1944 and El Cid from 1961. The very first thing he ever worked on was Thunder in the City from 1937, and he has won 3 Oscars, including the one for this one. So the other 2 that he won were for Spellbound and A Double Life. There was a lot of the music in this one that I really did like, but then there was also some of it that I was just like, this is unnecessary.
Yeah, agreed.
So it was kind of back and forth with the music for me. And then there was some spots where I felt like there should have been music and it would have made it more intense, and they didn't have music. So it was kind of a hit and miss for me, but I do understand why it won an Oscar. Because the music was good, it was just placement-wise I wasn't quite agreeing with. That's all I got for the music, unless you have anything.
No, not really.
Okay. So, comparison. Like I said, I didn't really get very far in the book, but I did find a link that kind of compares the novel and the film. So I will put that in the show notes. There are 3 other versions of this movie. One of them is a 15-minute 1907 film that all it is the chariot race.
Oh, well, I'll take that.
I was like, that's all I want. Just give me that.
It's like, give me the race. That's it. We're good.
Then there's also a 1925 version, which I couldn't find very much information about. And then the 2016 remake, which I do have a link, because it's a pretty lengthy article. I just pulled a few pieces from it about some of the differences, and I'll read those. It says the 2016 version of Ben-Hur has its own peculiarities. It says that whoever wrote this article said that they thought that the characters were too cool and contemporary. Like, they looked too cool and too contemporary. And I'm like, okay, well, it is from 2016, so, you know, you've got actors that a lot of people know right now, and you've also got, I don't know what else I was going to say, but I don't know. I've seen some pictures of them, and I can kind of agree with that, but then also I'm like, they just didn't really do the period piecing very well from pictures that I saw, so that's just what I think from pictures. It says another problem with the new Ben-Hur is that it only marginally does a better job of casting the part of Jesus Christ than the dismal Risen from 2016. Even though in the 2016 version of Ben-Hur, Jesus Christ has a bigger role than in this one.
Huh.
And then it says the main difference between 59 version and the 2016 version is the 59 version took its time, and the 2016 version went as quickly as possible. So those are the differences that I just kind of pulled from that article. I'll share the article for the book comparison and the 2016 comparison in the show notes. So do you have any trivia? I do have one piece of trivia.
Go ahead.
So I told Bo, my friend Bo, that we were going to be watching this movie, and he's like, oh, so you get to see someone die. I was like, yeah, there's people that die in all these movies. Like, I get to watch movies with people dying in them all the time. He's like, no, somebody really died and they just kept in the movie. And then I looked it up afterwards, like, trying to find out when it was, and it's actually a rumor that someone died.
Yeah.
Filming this. The only person that got hurt is Charlton Heston's stunt double doing that flip in the chariot. He cut his chin. That's literally the only injury that happened. Nobody actually died filming this movie.
Alright, so I will say one of this one's kind of makes me sad, especially camera wise. So, you know the 65 millimeter cameras? Mm-hmm. Really heavy, everything. Yeah, one of them got destroyed in this film.
That makes sense. There was a lot of...
And there was very few of them available.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you ruined a perfectly good camera. Boo! Boo! I do like this one. So, there was over 300 sets built. 300 sets. Okay? Let's see. I was trying to find one about the chariot race that I saw. Alright, this is the one. So the chariot race had over 15,000 extras to it.
Oh, yeah, because of all the crowd and everything.
Those were all people. Okay? There's no CGI with that, really, with all those people. And it was 18 acres.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. And it took 5 weeks to film. 5 weeks. Okay? And what was the other one? So, when you see that Masala gets thrown off his chariot and everything, it's drug. Yeah, that actually was part of the movie. He actually did that.
Dang.
Yeah, because it just didn't look like, you know, as real if it was like a dummy or something like that. And so he did it.
Dang.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, dedication there. Good job.
Yeah.
And this is also, I'll give Charlton Heston some credit for this. So his screen time is over 2 hours long in this. And so he won the Best Actor Oscar for this. And this is the longest one for an actor. And it's the second longest for any of the awards. And I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch more trivia, but again, this is a 3.5 hour movie, and I want to keep it short.
Yeah. So, where it has been on the list before, and where it's at today, in 2010, it was number 160. In 2012, it was number 169. 2014, number 185. 2016, number 201. 2018, number 197. And as of today, when we were recording, it is number 209. So it is dropping. It has kind of slowed down in its dropping, but it's still dropping.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand why.
And I can understand why it's on the list, too. I can.
I can understand why it's on the list, and I can also understand why, as of now, it's dropping. Just because movies aren't that long anymore. And this one is very drawn out in places that it does not need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of dated. Like, it didn't age, like, that great. Like, a few parts did age pretty well, but most of the movie did not, so.
Agreed.
So, previously, number 195, the 2010 list, Good Will Hunting from 1997. 2012 list, Argo from 2012. The 2014 list, The Avengers from 2012. 2016 list, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969, which we had previously.
Yep.
2018 list, Persona from 1966, which we had previously. And then as of today when we are recording, 12 Years a Slave is number 195. So it's still going up a little bit.
Sweet. That's a good movie. I'm happy it's climbing.
Yeah, I am too. It's good. So, favorite line.
Okay, let me see. I have a few. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, go ahead. I'm finding mine.
Okay, so hate keeps man alive. It gives him strength. There are many paths to God. I hope yours is not too difficult. Buy yourself some wives.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
But all life is a miracle. And it's such a cliche line, but I have to say, I actually liked it. Life is everlasting if you have faith.
Yeah.
Cliche, but it's a nice line.
Okay, I actually have quite a few for not really liking this movie that much. I mean, it just has some really, really good lines. I'd rather be a fool than a traitor or a killer. If I were a bride, there would be no goodbyes to be said. Or if I were not a bride, there would be no goodbyes to be said. But then she said it again, and I didn't really like it, so I don't know why I read it. I was like, okay, we're repeating ourselves now. You have the spirit to fight back, but the good sense to control it. In his eagerness to save you, your God has saved the Roman fleet. One last thing. There is no law in the arena. Many are killed. Look for them in the valley of the lepers, if you can recognize them. They have one blessing left, to think you will remember them as they were. And then I am Judah Ben-Hur. That's it.
I don't know. What do you think?
I really liked the, I'd rather be a fool than a traitor or a killer. And then, my other favorite one was one last thing. There is no law in the arena. Many are killed. Those are two I liked a lot.
I wrote down, actually, the I would rather be a fool one.
So you want to do that one?
I just couldn't get all the words down, that's why I didn't say it.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get everything.
Okay. I'd rather be a fool than a traitor or a killer. So what's your rating?
Okay, I'm gonna be nice. I'm being nice. Because I've been hanging out with children lately, so I'm learning to be nice again. So I'm gonna give this a 7. I am nice that way. Okay. I took off points for it being super long and dragged out. And some of the special effects.
Okay.
And for the most part, I just wish it was shorter. I would like it a lot more if it was shorter.
Yeah, I think so too. I am giving this a 4.
Ooh.
I mean, going in, I was already upset because it was a religious movie. Then you start with a 5-minute overture. So I'm already, at 5 minutes into the movie, I'm already checked out. Like, that's not a good thing. The sound editing, like we were both saying, there's places where it's really bad. It's really, really drawn out. The timeline jumps were super confusing. But there's a couple things I did like. Them strategically not showing Jesus' face. They did a really good job of that. There was only one time where it was just like, come on, you've got to be kidding. When you're like looking down at Pontius Pilate or whatever, and you're very clearly supposed to see Jesus' face, but they just have like this black mark over his face. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't know if it was that way in your version, but it wasn't.
It seemed like it was blurred out on mine.
Mine, it was just like this big, it wasn't like blurred out, it was just like this big, huge black slash across where his face was supposed to be.
Huh.
And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Some of the backgrounds were really cool, like really well done. I don't know if they were hand-painted or hand-drawn or what it was, but some of them actually looked really good. But for me, the majority of it was the religiousness and how drawn out it was. Because, like, if I'm already bored 5 minutes into the movie, then there's a problem. So, I gave it a 4.
Understandable.
So, our next film, we're staying in the 50s. It is The Wages of Fear, which I believe is in a different language.
It's in French, and it's one of our directors we have seen before, and we will see another actress we have seen before.
Yeah. So yeah, that will be next week. The Wages of Fear from 1953. We have about 2 months by the time our next event comes out. It's going to be our Halloween event. So 2 months from the day this is released, our Halloween event will be released. The 2 movies that I picked are Beetlejuice and Hereditary.
And I picked Young Frankenstein and A Nightmare on Elm Street. And I will report back on that episode, our Nightmare on Elm Street, some trivia that I learned from Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund.
Cool.
Got some good trivia from him. I did, and it's not on IMDb either. I heard it from the man himself.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good. Check that episode out, for sure.
We are offering premium. If you would like to become a premium member, you will get uncut episodes, early release episodes, and a special monthly episode, all for $1 a month. For $5 a month, you will get all of that and be able to join us for a movie of your choice every 50 movies. So, if you would like to become premium, please go ahead and do that through Podbean. Our special monthly episode, actually out on the same day as this, is The Sandlot, and you can either get that by becoming a premium member or just pay the $1 to get just The Sandlot as a bonus episode. If you could leave us any ratings and reviews, that would help us out a lot, get us some more listeners. You can find us pretty much everywhere. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us. If you are ever looking for any episodes, they are all going to be on Podbean at catandjesstalkthebest.podbean.com. All of our music is by Audio Ben-Hur, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobenhur.net. And also, don't forget to take your guess at what movie the mystery line is from. And I'll read it one more time just to remind you. There are simply too many notes.
And think about that. Notes. That's your hint.
We will post that to our social media. So if you want to comment on the episode or comment on social media, let us know what you think that movie is. And we will announce the winner next week. And if we don't have a winner, then we'll just announce what the movie is, and then we'll pick a new line next week. Thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it. And if you are premium, we'll catch you in The Sandlot. If not, then we will catch you with The Wages of Fear. Bye.
Bye.